So today I want to share one exercise that has been completely transformative to my movement patterns. When we are babies, if you watch babies when they're first learning to move and become mobile, what is the first motion that they learn? The first motion, the first activity they learn to do really, other than waving their hands around, is rolling. And they're really good at it. They are able to roll really effectively and efficiently. And as they roll their whole spine one vertebrae at a time in this almost zippering pattern as they go from top to bottom or from bottom to top. They're really, really good at it. That is also one of the first types of movement that we lose as we get older. And when I say as we get older, I'm not talking about when you get to be 70 or 80. I'm talking about kids that are like 10 years old who've been stuck in a chair in their seat in their classroom for their whole instructional lives so far. The movement patterns we have in our modern world tend to limit and restrict and retrain our body's neurological function and the way that our muscles fire in order so that we start to lose mobility in our spine. And there's an old saying in the yoga tradition that we are only as old or young as our spine. And let me tell you, at least in the first world where we spend a lot of time sitting in chairs and sitting in cars and doing movement patterns that are not natural to human beings, our spines really lose mobility super duper quickly. When I first learned to do the pose, Parvrita Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose, I thought it was pretty crazy. It seemed really difficult and I wasn't sure how I was ever going to get there. And then after my son was born especially, I had all kinds of soreness and difficulty in my low back, in my sacrum, and it's still not 100% better, but it's a lot better than it was. And doing Parvrita Trikonasana or any kind of deep twisting pose just wasn't happening. And I thought, gosh, maybe my body's not built that way. Maybe I need to open my hamstrings. Then I started seeing a physical therapist for some other issues. And he taught me this exercise that is helping to retrain the neurology of the way my brain is signaling the muscles in my back to get my rotation moving the way it's supposed to. And here's the thing, folks. We often think that if we've got a mobility issue, then we just need to mold and squish and move those muscles around and eventually they're going to open up. We used to think that's how stretching worked. That was part of how yoga worked. It turns out that's not exactly the whole picture, and that's really less of the picture than the neurology, than the signal our brain sends to our bodies to get our spine to articulate, to get our arm to move. And if that neurological connection isn't happening the way it's supposed to, then we're going to have a hard time with our movement patterns. Okay, are you ready to see this really ridiculous, hilarious exercise? Okay, so it's really retraining you to roll the way a baby would roll. So let me make sure I can see my yoga mat over there. Yes, I can. All right, so check it out, and then I'll be back to answer some questions in just a second, okay? All right, rolling patterns. So you're gonna start lying on your back. And I want you at first to get your legs to be really quiet. We don't want the legs to help with this motion. Lay down, arms overhead. I'm lifting my head so that you can hear me, but your head is down. Okay, arms overhead, legs are quiet. Then the head begins first. So I want everyone to think about their spine like a zipper. We want the top of the spine to articulate first, and then to send the movement down the spine, down the spine, down the spine, all the way, and the hips come last. Okay, so legs are quiet. Lift the head, and then the chin and head come across the body. Now this arm comes across the body. And we push with the arm, legs are quiet. Follow through with the head, and the head comes down first. Then the shoulder comes down. Then my middle back, and the hip comes last. Okay? Then we go back the other direction. Okay. Lift the head, drop the head, arm out. This time the shoulder pushes back. Head, shoulder, middle back. Control the descent to the hip. When you first start doing this exercise, it isn't always easy. It's sometimes not even possible to get your brain to fire to your body and make that happen. When I first had someone tell me to do this, keep the legs totally quiet and to articulate that one little bit at a time and not to just funk my whole torso around in one chunk, I thought they were out of their minds. I was like, there's no way, this is not happening, I can't do this. So here's a little tip. If you're having a hard time getting going and you just can't quite get the muscles to fire without using the legs or kind of cheating, grab something to prop up your side to get started. So this will give a little bit of a head start. So I can get this hip and side body on my, this is a yoga bolster. You could use a folded up blanket, a half foam roller if you've got something like that at home. So here I'm already partway started. Now I can move my head, arm, and control the descent on the way down. Then you can do the same thing and prop yourself on the other side to come back. So I know that that seems like a pretty silly and ridiculous little exercise, and it is a little bit silly and it is a little bit ridiculous. But for me, it has been completely transformative in my ability to twist and mobilize my spine. So let me show you a couple of poses I can do now. It was like that. As soon as my body could do those rolling patterns and that neurology got fixed, I was able to do some poses I couldn't do before. For example, Parvrata Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose. Hand outside the foot, hips square, arm lifts. That was not a pose I could do before. And it's not that I suddenly just got more mobility. It's that my brain was able to connect to my body to make it happen. Marichyasana 3 with a bind. I haven't done this one in a few days. We'll see if it comes together. Some days it does and some days it doesn't. Wrapping the arm. The bind's not happening today. That's okay. But getting in there to twist really deeply wasn't happening. And you're not going to make progress in your body safely if you are trying to force a twist to happen. If you're wrenching your body, if you're pulling yourself, it's not going to be helpful. I could not believe how quickly my movement patterns transformed in my twists and my ability to mobilize my spine, and how good I felt as soon as I was able to get those rolling patterns to happen. You can also do it the other way and start from the hips and work the way up. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. And as silly as it looks, maybe try incorporating some of that into your own yoga, self-care, and meditation time, and see what happens in your body, see what happens in your mobility, and what happens in the way you feel. So, yay. All right, you guys, so hopefully that was helpful. I would love to hear any suggestions of other things you would like some tips and instruction on. I love getting on here and giving some valuable information and trying to help people feel better in their bodies, because when we do a little bit of yoga and a little bit of meditation, we feel better. And when we feel better, we raise our vibration. And when our vibration raises, the vibration of everyone around us raises. And you know what that does? You're welcome. That changes the world. So again, my name is Sabrina Carlson. You can find me over at sabrinacarlsonyoga.com. I blog over there. I have one little 30-minute morning yoga video practice that you can download for 99 cents. It's on special right now. Woohoo! You're welcome. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm at Sabrina Carlson Yoga. And if you enjoyed this, or you think that this information is valuable, I would love for you to share it with anybody who you think might want to watch. So swipe the screen from left to right, tap on the little share icon, and you can send that out via Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere else you'd like to share this with people if you find it valuable. You can also follow me so you'll be sure to catch all of my scopes when I have something to say about yoga, meditation, and self-care, especially for very busy people. Thanks so much. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.